and the funding that's going toward it is largely from the U.S. in the name of a drug war policy. For example, the U.S. just donated 6 helicopters. The State Department just donated 6 helicopters to the Guatemalan government, the Guatemalan government took out a big ad in the newspaper announcing this. And one of the things that was listed for what these helicopters would be used for was controlling social protest.
And if the farmers get together and organize themselves into a group to oppose that, they kill them. And then the army comes in and they tell the farmers, oh no, you can't have guns, that's a crime. We're taking them away from you. They're in effect supporting the drug cartels.
One of the likely consequences of, like, if you were to legalize immediately tomorrow everywhere in the United States, one of the immediate impacts would likely be a dramatic and sudden increase in violence in Mexico.
But I also think focusing on, and maybe this ties into the last question too, like what would a fair, viable drug policy look like, focusing on having like a moral-based approach. Like it's wrong to put millions of people in prison for smoking weed.
You know, they're willing to go along, okay, spend $1 trillion. If it keeps us safe, keep my kids safe, spend $1 trillion, you know. So I mean, it's the rationalization for the militarization of the world by the U.S.
Perpetuate poverty and displacement, specifically like a systemic analysis on where and how bodies are pushed into situations where they're criminalized. And then part of that is dismantling military aid and that perpetuation. We talked about redistributing funds towards health and rehabilitation, whether those are tax dollars that are used from legalizing drugs and that, which would be a huge revenue source, as opposed to it being a subversive economic scheme that just kind of perpetuates dynamics of criminalization.
Well, we talked about the similarity between what's going on in Mexico and here in terms of the destruction of the social fabric by the drug lord.
I'm a PhD candidate in the School of Anthropology at the University of Arizona here in Tucson. Basically assist the medical examiner's office and other jurisdictions across the U.S.-Mexico border in identifying unidentified remains. Because again, this is the other thing, not just do we have deaths, not just do we have the event of death, but these people, this is how they're coming in. They're coming in as bone, or they're coming in as blackened, destroyed pieces of bodies. This is not just death, this is violent death.
Probably beginning in the mid-2000s, we saw another approach. So rather than a prevention through deterrence approach, we saw a criminalization approach to unauthorized migration, right? With programs such as Operation Streamline, programs such as Secure Communities, programs such as 287G, programs such as the Criminal Alien Removal Program. I mean, all these programs aimed at systematically assigning a consequence or a penalty with unauthorized crossing. You can see here, again, the red bars are the number of deaths in southern Arizona, and the blue bars are the number of Arizona Daily Star articles on mentioning migrant deaths. So you can see that although we have an exponential increase in migrant deaths that remain high over the last several years, the media coverage has dwindled, right?
Before they're going to do anything about immigration, the border has to be secure. All they think of is to make the fence higher and higher and longer and longer. And it's the most ridiculous thing. And now those poor migrants are getting injured because the wall is so high.
One of our speakers made the point, people don't want to migrate. They would rather live a good life where they are, but their own country is just way screwing them over more than here. And yet I don't see what we can do to affect the politics in other countries.
You had fun. If you do not have fun, you will get exterminated.
Exterminate! Thank you! That makes me feel better. Are you a public call box?
I'm the TARDIS from Doctor
Oh! You are so much better looking than any TARDIS I've ever seen before.
Thank you.
Grasp your biscuits near a corner, 2 fingers only,
like
near
this.
a corner.
Ladies, like this.
Like this.
Like that. This is the cup. When she tells you, you're going to dunk it in, and they're going to count to 5, and then you take it out like this.
2. Dunk your biscuits. 50%.
1, 2.
3. Hold it up. Hold it in. Hold it in. 4. 5.
Okay,
Eat your biscuits. Okay. It's about to crumble. The straw biscuit. Oh! Eat your biscuit. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it.
Eat. So you are part of the Occupy Wall Street Spring.
Yes, we are. We started out in Zuccotti Park. Yeah, we got a lot of support from the Occupy community, and we were able to eventually get a group together that helped us start a print shop. So we have our section, and then we also have Radix Media, which is paper printing, stickers, brochures, that sort of thing. And Dale can tell you more about that too.
The hard-won victory of the truck strikes inspired thousands of other Minneapolis workers to organize. Most of them simply wanted to come and join Local 574.
If our classes are banned in the public schools, and we'll kind of like in the spirit of what class would become later, of going outside the classroom and setting up our own schools. So we gave a choice to students. You can either go to class and regular courses that are sanctioned, or you can come on a school day and to ethnic studies classes that are banned, but they're held in the community. The campaign was calling on them to update their style guide to stop using the word illegal for various reasons. But the Associated Press finally, after 2 years, updated it and suggests using undocumented or other more accurate terms.
The U.S. is actively supporting the military now. There's something called Joint Task Force Bravo, and that basically combines training at the U.S.-run air base there, called Arola. And when U.S. military go land in Tegucigalpa at the airport, they don't go through regular customs. They have their own little area that they go through. There's a big U.S. flag, and the military go through there.
A lost Italian man on a voyage to look for riches crashed into the Caribbean and met some brown people, some Arawaks, some Tano people, in Hispaniola, what is now Cuba. There's also Comanche code talkers, Hopi code talkers of different tribes. There's code talkers, and they used our language to confuse the enemy. So they were able to develop a code based upon our language that the Japanese and the people didn't know. So they used that in World War II.
I've never been able to make my way through the world in a narrow way, in a way that's expected or traditional.
You said, "I'm sorry for being brown" when you walked into that restaurant. No! I'm proud of being brown. Sorry of you being afraid of my presence, but I'm proud of being brown.
Just sarcastic.
I mean, and it's very hard to confront bullies and to have two strangers be in front of you and to try to intervene in that, whether it's racial profiling or just straight bullying. That's a very hard thing to do. But in order for things to change, somebody has to do something.
We do this work and we're drawn to this out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes about as a result of our personal experiences. And if you stay invested, it's never going to be about the money. We all realize that.
Right.
And many times we do keep our heads low and just do what we need to do to not so much conform, but just to survive. But I think that in spaces like this, it's an opportunity for us to recognize that we can, as a collective, move forward by being strong and proud of who we are.
So tell me about your corn. It is
This is corn that part of what I grew in my hometown of Sichijik, which is below Black Mesa in northeastern Arizona on the Navajo Reservation. And it's a mix of Navajo, Hopi, and Taos blue corn, some red corn in there, as well as some other colors. But yeah, as I was saying in my language, the Nebizat, which is Nadat Lok Ish is blue corn, Nadat Chi is red corn, Nadat Gai white, and Nadat Sui is yellow corn. This is kind of like a physical representation of who we are as a people. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Sharing cultural cruelty report and border patrol community for killings and abuse of migrants in the desert and in short-term detention.
Also, we're going to hear from Raquel Rubio Goldsmith about migrant deaths in the desert.
But first, let me just say a couple of things. This is one of the most exciting things to happen here in Tucson for a very long time. Between 1990 and 1999, there were 125 cases that would qualify. Between 2000 and 2005, there were 802.
Politicians started to run on anti-immigrant slogans. You know, I'm a criminal defense attorney. To me, there's nothing more important in terms of freedom or democracy. To me, yes, I want food and housing and all of that, because otherwise it doesn't matter. But number one is, I don't want to be in custody of a police officer.
First of all, raise public awareness, because this is one of the best kept secrets in town. 70 people a day going through court like this in shackles, nobody knows about it. Secondly, we've been working on a campaign to get all of the legal people, the legal professionals who work in Streamline. They're part of the machine, right? So stop being part of the machine.
Everybody take their left hand face down and your right hand face up.
That evening, about 30 of us gathered outside to listen to Agnes, the Lebanese nun, and the Syrians who were so upset by her the previous evening, have a calm and rational discussion. My two-bit summary of the situation is that she feels that if everyone just put down their arms and went home, that Assad would be nice to everybody and everybody would live happily ever after. They think she is a shill for Assad.
Have some respect for yourself.
She speaks in English.
This is none.
Please, when she curses,